Out of all the secrets in Banjo-Kazooie, nothing is more well known or talked about than Stop-n-Swop. If you have ever held an N64 controller, chances are you've heard of this term before. After all, it's one of the most famous things that the N64 has going for it besides its ensemble of amazing games. You see, Stop-n-Swop was a feature that was never fully implemented into Banjo-Kazooie. Originally it was supposed to coincide with the sequel, Banjo-Tooie, however this never came to fruition. Despite this, however, people found out that there are ways to collect these Stop-n-Swop items. These items are teased at the end of Banjo-Kazooie if you grabbed all 100 Jiggies. These items serve no purpose in the original N64 version of the game. However, they were repurposed in the Xbox Live Arcade versions of Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, and Nuts and Bolts. Without wasting any time, I'm Nicholas from Leftover Content, and welcome to Banjo-Kazooie. The original idea behind Stop-n-Swop is very simple. You see, the intention was for the player to switch from Banjo-Kazooie to Banjo-Tooie without turning off their N64. The original hardware of the N64 allowed for temporary storage via Rambus memory. Because of this temporary storage, memory was able to go from one game to another. This led to the idea of Stop-n-Swop. The original hardware of the N64 wouldn't clear this memory for a full 10 seconds, making it very easy to swap carts. In 1999, the N64 got a hardware revision. This caused this memory to be cleared in under a second, making swapping carts impossible. Banjo-Tooie was still in development at this time, so there was nothing that they could do. Rare was forced to scrap this idea. Despite this, however, remnants of it still exist within Banjo-Kazooie due to the late hardware revisions the N64 got. This is why, if you collect all 100 Jiggies, the Stop-n-Swop items are teased at the end of Banjo-Kazooie. The only item teased by Mumbo are 2 colored eggs and the mysterious ice key. This was enough to get players interested. 2 hackers by the name of Ice Mario and Subdrag hacked into the game and stoppered the Stop-n-Swop item, which displayed 6 eggs and the ice key itself. This menu option appears in the total section after Click Clock would. Thanks to these 2 hackers, information got out about the Stop-n-Swop items, and players eventually figured out ways of getting them. Soon enough, we found cheat codes that allowed us to get these items. While these cheat codes were probably here for development reasons, players now use them to grab the Stop-n-Swop items themselves. Collecting the Stop-n-Swop items in the original N64 version of Banjo-Kazooie serves no purpose. At E3 2008, the Rare team announced that the Xbox Live Arcade version of Banjo-Kazooie would have Stop-n-Swop implemented, as it was originally intended. However, this was to correspond with Nuts and Bolts, a game that not many Banjo-Kazooie fans like to talk about. In January of 2009, on the official Banjo-Kazooie website, Rare announced that Stop-n-Swop would also be implemented for the Xbox Live Arcade version of Banjo-Tooie. Despite Rare scrapping the Stop-n-Swop idea, they still added 3 eggs and the ice key in Banjo-Tooie. The way that players would get these is they would simply find regular Banjo-Kazooie cartridges scattered around the game's overworld. You didn't have to swap carts, they were just there, at least in the original N64 version. It's different in the Xbox Arcade edition. When Banjo-Tooie released on the Xbox Live Arcade, all 6 eggs were put into the game. Unlocks between the 2 versions, the Xbox Live Arcade version and the N64 version, do differ. While the Xbox Live Arcade version has the original content, it even has some bonus content that can be unlocked through Stop-n-Swop. However, it was specifically catered for the Xbox 360, like it being a gamer pick. Whoa. That is the general history of Stop-n-Swop. There isn't much to it, but it's kind of a sad tale. There was so much potential behind this neat little system that got scrapped due to the hardware actually advancing. But with all of that out of the way, let's move on to how to collect them in the original N64 version. To collect the Stop-n-Swop items in Banjo-Kazooie for the N64, one must go to Treasure Trove Cove, enter the sandcastle, and put in cheat codes. These are the only way to collect these items without the use of Game Shark. As I stated before, in the N64 version, these Stop-n-Swop items do nothing, and these codes take a really long time to do. If you decide to grab these items, just be aware that it is very time consuming, and once you collect them, it actually collects them for the entire game, meaning if you go from File 1 to File 2, you'll have the Stop-n-Swop items in File 2, despite never collecting them. You got all that? Let's move on to the cheat codes. This first cheat code allows access to the Cyan Mystery Egg. This cheat code is cheat. Don't you go and tell her about the secret in her cellar. This egg unlocks the bolt on a pole car part in Nuts and Bolts. The Cyan Mystery Egg can be found in the cellar of Mad Monster Mansion. It's hidden behind a barrel that's marked with 1881. This is actually a reference to one of Rare's oldest games, Attic Attack. Moving on from that, we have the pink mystery egg, which is found in Shark Food Island. It's a small landmark just off the coast of Treasure Trove Cove. This is one of the eggs that Mumbo will reveal to the player as a little bit of a tease of, hey, look at this item you can't get. The code for this one is cheat. Out of the sea it rises to reveal more secret prizes. This egg unlocks the fuzzy dice part in Nuts and Bolts. In Banjo-Tooie, this egg can be found behind a metal gate in front of Spiral Mountain. By bringing this egg to Heggy the Hen, this will unlock the move Breagle Bash, a move where Banjo grabs Kazooie by the neck and slams her into the ground. This move is referenced in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as it's one of Banjo's attacks. You can see him using it in the trailer. Next is the blue Mr. Egg, which can be found in Gobi's Valley behind a door. It's located within a sarcophagus. I'm hoping I said that right because I'm bad with words. This is another one of the collectibles that is hinted at during the secret ending of Banjo-Kazooie for collecting all 100 Jiggies. To unlock this one, you must put down the cheat. Cheat, a desert door opens wide, ancient secrets wait inside. This unlocks the goldfish vehicle part in Nuts and Bolts. And in Banjo-Tooie, it unlocks a cheat code, homing eggs, which is a very useful cheat code because have you tried aiming with the original N64 controller? It is awful. The green Mr. Egg can be found on top of Lago in Mad Monster Mansion. For no discernible reason, it seems Mad Monster Mansion has 2 of the Mr. Eggs. I mean, I'm not complaining, it's my favorite world. All the more reason to revisit it, am I right? The cheat code for this one is cheat. Amidst the haunted gloom, a secret in the bathroom. This unlocks a beacon in Nuts and Bolts. The red Mr. Egg is found in the captain quarters within Rusty Bucket Bay. The cheat code is cheat. This secret you'll be grabbing in the captain's cabin. In Nuts and Bolts, this unlocks the disco part, probably the best item in that game. In Banjo-Tooie for Xbox Live Arcade, it gets you a Banjo-Kazooie theme for your Xbox 360, which is kinda cool. The last egg on our list is the yellow Mr. Egg, which can be found in Click Clock Wood in Nabbit's home, simply sitting on his table during the winter season. The cheat code for this one is cheat. Now, Banjo will be able to see it on Nabnut's table. Perhaps the most infamous Stop-n-Swop item, the mysterious Ice Key. The Ice Key is the only Stop-n-Swop collectible that is visible during the main game without the use of cheat codes. It can be found in Wazza's cave behind an unbreakable sheet of ice. This is one of the items that is shown during the secret ending if you grabbed all 100 Jiggies. The cheat code for this one is a bit of a tongue twister. It is cheat. Now you can see a nice ice key which you can have for free. In Nuts and Bolts, this unlocks 2 pieces of the British flag. This is a reference to Rare being located in the UK. In Banjo-Tooie, this gives you access to the Mega Globo, which is the replacement of Mumbo tokens in that game. This allows you to turn Kazooie into a dragon, which is awesome. However, I do miss the old bird Kazooie, just a bit. And with that, that's all of the Stop-n-Swop collectibles. There is a Stop-n-Swop 2 in Banjo-Tooie, however, it doesn't relate to Kazooie immediately, so we won't be going over it in this video. Sorry, but if you want to see that, you'll have to go somewhere else. I'll be covering it in the future, but not for a good while. Before we end this video off, I want to talk a little bit about my experience with Stop-n-Swop. This is going to be a little more unscripted than what it was previously, so please bear with me. When I was a kid, I didn't know what Stop-n-Swop was. In fact, I only heard about it when I was watching a Let's Play about it. And because of that, that got my little kid brain moving. Like, I was the kid who believed L was real. Let's get serious. It got my mind turning about what these Stop-n-Swop items could do, and I remember as a kid trying to swap my game cards in under a second to see what would happen. Unbeknownst to me, that's not how things work, and that the mechanic was never fully coded. That it just didn't happen like that. I was a dumb kid. Stop-n-Swop is a legend. It's become one of the most famous gaming mysteries of all time, and despite us knowing nearly everything about it, we still don't know everything, like what it was originally going to be used for. Some people believed it was going to unlock new worlds in Banjo-Tooie, or other features besides what we got. After all, in Banjo-Tooie, Stop-n-Swop was only half implemented with the Ice Key and 3 Stop-n-Swop eggs. Out of all the alleged rumors and mysteries that filled my childhood, Stop-n-Swop will remain number 1. It was something I thought about a lot as a kid, and I wanted to get to the bottom of it. After all, as a child, you want to learn as much as you can, as long as it's not in school. I hope one of these days we get to see Stop-n-Swop fully implemented as Rare fully intended. After all, I don't think they intended to have an Xbox Live theme or a gamer pick as one of the unlockables through Stop-n-Swop. Nah, Rare was a bunch of overachievers back in the day. There's no way they were going to stop at something meaningless like that. But that's just my personal opinion. I would like to hear some of your theories on Stop-n-Swop. Anyway, guys, I would like to wrap this video up now. I'm Nicholas from Leftover Content, and I want to thank you all so much for watching. This video is part of a 3-part series. On part 1, we talked about Bottle's bonus challenge, and on part 3, we're going to talk about the beta of Banjo-Kazooie. I'll see you all next time. Have a good one.